Let's go slightly up the coast now from LA to Silicon Valley. And we have a man here today who was formerly, in his past life, was the Chief Technology Officer for Retail Next, which is installed here in this store. So he probably knows a lot about this, but he is a veteran of retail store analytics. Mr. George Shaw. He is the founder and CEO of Brain of the Store. We know stores have to have a soul, but he's going to tell us they have a brain as well. So take it away, George.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here today. I'm George, founder and CEO of Brain of the Store. We're building a real-time spatial AI platform that transforms customer and staff movement in brick-and-mortar stores into actionable insights and recommendations that retailers can use to manage the people and products that are vital to their business. We're creating digital tools for physical stores. I'm going to start with a little bit of context. So I started this journey at the MIT Media Lab, where I worked with Deb Roy on the Human Speech Own project. The image you're seeing here from Deb's popular TED Talk, Birth of a Word, was an important early milestone that I helped to create. It was the first time that location data, combined with spatial intelligence, was used to understand how Deb's child came to learn language. My work in language acquisition transitioned to retail analytics when I started working with Bank of America, who was a lab sponsor at the time. That was work that was driven by Ken Jackowitz, who happens to be here with us today, and was the first time this type of spatial analytics was used in a retail context. After leaving MIT, I joined industry leader Retail Next, where I built and led the R&D team there. In the words of Alexi, the CEO, I built the tech that built that business, including the previous generation of the cameras that are on the ceiling here in Neighborhood Goods today. One of the first things that I did when I launched Brain of the Store in January was to reach out to Paco Underhill and to say, hey Paco, I'm trying to build an AI version of you. What do you think about that? Paco said, you know, that's great. Turn my brain into an algorithm and I'd love to participate. So he jumped onto the advisory board. We now have 8 members on the team there, as well as 3 full-time members of our team with deep retail expertise. We've been working hard since January. We're now in several early collaborative pilots with national retailers, as well as a premier shopping center operator. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? Over 80% of retail transactions still take place in a brick and mortar location. Retailers are looking for ways to make these locations stay relevant and competitive against the growing threats from Amazon and others. And what's the one thing you can never recreate online? In-person human interaction. It's the people. It's those people, the staff and customers moving through retail stores, that we look to understand, empower, and turn into superheroes using 21st century digital tools rather than old-fashioned clipboards and instincts. Solving these problems are worth big money. It's estimated that $1.7 trillion a year are lost globally due to poor customer service in retail stores. So On the X is our product that guides store staff to be in the right place at the right time to dramatically improve that customer experience. We can guide store staff to be in the right place at the right time in order to interact or transact with customers. Those 2 use cases combined are worth $1.3 trillion a year to retailers. We can guide store staff to restock optimally and efficiently. Out of stocks are worth another $315 billion a year to retailers. And finally, using our spatial AI to understand suspicious customer behavior, we can guide store staff to address shoplifting and other types of fraud before they happen, worth another $57 billion a year to retailers. So how do we do this at scale across all the stores in a retailer's fleet rather than just 1 or 2 lab stores? Well, for us, everything starts with location data. Retailers are already generating that data in lots of different ways, including Retail Next cameras, as well as lots of the solutions that you'll hear about here today. We can think of all of these as sources of this location data. Where are people over time? We work with all of those solutions, but we're particularly excited about a solution that we're building together with a partner in Silicon Valley, Pilot AI, that leverages existing in-store surveillance to generate that location data that we need using computer vision. It's a really cool capability. I'm proud to announce that we've just completed our first end-to-end prototype using existing surveillance from a global cosmetics retailer that we're working with, turning that into location data, and driving through the analysis that's going to move the needle on their business. So that location data from whatever the source feeds into our system through our inbound API where it reaches our behavior engine. That's the core of what we do. It's the brain. It's what houses our spatial AI in a high throughput, real-time data pipeline. This helps us address the various use cases that retailers care about. Those results from the behavior engine flow out through our outbound API, which has a real-time component to drive in-store systems, as well as a historical component for post-hoc analysis. There we go. Video wasn't supposed to start yet. So I'm going to take my last couple minutes here and give you a peek under the hood, show you a little bit about how we do what we do. So we've built a synthetic store in the cloud. This is an environment that we use to build, train, and test our algorithms, as well as to demonstrate what it is that we do. For obvious reasons, major retailers don't like us showing their data in front of audiences of people, so we use this synthetic data as a way to demonstrate what we do here. So this will be a lightly technical peek into our secret sauce. So I assume you've all signed your NDAs and you're putting your phones away. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So we're seeing customers and staff moving through a retail store. Customers are in green, staff is in blue. As they move through the store, we can see that this data is gathered from lots of different sources, but hits our system in real time where it's visualized. As we speed up time here, we can start to see the movement patterns unfold and see where people spend their time, where they go, where they don't go, so on and so forth. This kind of data is very difficult for a retailer to consume at scale, unless you find the events that a retailer actually cares about, like an interaction. That's an instance of customer and staff interacting with each other. So our machine learning pulls out these interactions in real time, at scale, automatically, finds the times when customer and staff are interacting with each other, and of course captures information about those interactions. When we speed up time again, you can see that we're capturing lots and lots of interactions. What this lets us do is understand these interactions deeply and to understand which interactions are leading to sales and which aren't. Why do we care about that? Well, that lets us guide store staff to be in the right place at the right time to perform those interactions in the best possible way, interacting with customers in a way that's actually going to drive sales. So here you're seeing staff, again in blue, being guided towards that X. The X is the optimal location from moment to moment in real time where they should be in order to drive those interactions. That X in this case is being guided by interactions, like we talked about, but that X can be guided by restocking behavior, it can be guided by loss prevention use cases, as well as any combination and lots of other things that we haven't even started to develop yet. You'll notice at the top right, we're also collecting statistics about how far that staff member is from that optimal location over time. This allows you to evaluate the performance of a staff member over time, as well as compare one staff member to another, one store to another, a region to another, or even one country to another. Evaluating staff performance at a scale that was unimaginable before. So that's who we are, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. We've got a big vision and a great plan to get there, and we've also got a little bit of room left in our current funding round. So if you'd like to join us on this journey, please come and say hi to me and Ken afterwards. Thank you.